Weird, it'll be a video of a video. Yeah, I have to make it and then add it to my playlist. So if you just go to Mr. Stapleton, here it is, right here. Click on it because weird things would happen probably if I streamed it and I did it. All right. So take a look at what you did. Can I borrow your pencils, Chase? Because I don't have colored pencils myself. Take a look at what you did and compare it to what I'm doing. So first, 20 to 30 degrees. This is the high pressure. Shh. We'll pull it out. Elijah. Shh. Low pressure should be at the equator. So this is never any different. I don't need the continent here to do this. There's always low pressure from 5 degrees north to 5 south. There's always high from 20 to 30. And there's always low pressure at 60 degrees. And it spans from 55 to 65. And then down here, there would always be high pressure at 25 degrees, which means from 20 to 30 right in there. So those are all the pressure belts. And the winds look like this, and this, and this. So the reason they look like this is because where my pencil is, they go from high pressure to low, so they go north. And since we're north of the equator, there's 0 degrees, the equator, things go clockwise. So this is going north and clockwise, which means kind of to the east or northeast. Right here, still in the northern hemisphere, it goes high pressure to low, so it's going to the south, but it's turning clockwise, so it's going to go like that to our left. And then right down here, now we're in the southern hemisphere, so the pressure thing still holds. It still goes from high pressure to low pressure that way, but now we're going counterclockwise, so it takes a left turn. So that's it for the winds, and if I do the parts I could do so far, here are my answer choices, N, O, P, Q, and R. N, O, P, Q, and R. The one that's in the high pressure belt is O. So that should be your answer number 1. The one that's in a low pressure belt is Q. So that's that one. Where does the wind blow toward the northeast? So north is straight up, east is straight out. This would be northeast. This is the only wind that's blowing in that direction. This one's definitely wrong. This one's definitely wrong. So letter N is the right answer. Okay, now for currents. I'm going to draw them and then I'm going to explain how I drew them. So generally, here the water is going to go to the right. Here the water is going to go to the left. Here the water is going to go to the left. The wind is making it go. And I'll tell you why I'm making this cold in just a second. And that's the only one that's cold. This is warm. Actually, I'm going to do some more stuff with the cold. This is warm. This warm stuff's going to just blow right across. And now over here, the wind is going to make a gyre. The top of the gyre right here, the top of it goes this way, and the bottom of it goes this way. So it's going to turn like this, and that cold water is going to come down the coast. So this cold water is going to go like that and then get blown back out by the wind here. And over here, the opposite's going to happen because the wind is blowing like this up north, and it's blowing like this down south, and it's going to rotate the same way, which means at W, the warm water is going to come up the coast like this. And at these latitudes, at the latitudes, the horse latitudes where the high pressure is, it's always going to turn out that the east coast is warm and the west coast is cold. It just always turns out that way in that area. So now I've got my full pattern. The wind, the current's all warm down here, and it's because everything between 20 north and 20 south, that's near the equator. That's equatorial. It's really warm. And this water comes from here, so it's warm. It's coming from a warm place. Now the water that splits off right here, this is warm, not because it's close to the equator. It's not anymore. It's warm because it came from a warm place. This water over here is warm because it has been at a warm place. This water up here is cold because it comes from over here. Now we're at 30 degrees to 50 degrees. That's really cold. That's far north. So this is all cold water. This water is cold because it came from a cold place. Not because it's at a cold place. It's at a warm place. It's near the equator. So whenever you have water come from a warm place and go to a cold place, the water stays warm for a while. And whenever you have water come from a cold place and go to a warm place, the water stays cold for a while. So once you've got that, then you can answer the questions. The cold current, if I have to choose between D and W, it's going to be D. And warm current, if I have to choose between A and S, it's going to be S. So we might have had a map where the one that was on top was the warm current. That would be a map where the equator is up here. And if it was cold down here, then this was far from the equator. But on this map, it's like this. Current flowing most directly toward the south, that would be this one. The current goes to the south. Here it goes to the east, here it goes north, there it goes west, so south is D. Where does the current flow east? That's up at A, it's going toward the east. And now the rainforest and the desert. So all you need to know is the pressure that creates moisture is low pressure. So this area right in here, this is all wet. This is the major rainforest. And it would probably be a little bit bigger around this warm water side and this warm water side and maybe smaller over there. So this is a terrible pencil chase, but that's okay. I appreciate you sharing a pencil. He's gone. So that's the major desert, and then the major rainforest is at the high pressure. It's like the squeezing of a bottle. And the desert is going to be smaller over here. This is the hot shower side. It's going to be really humid. And this is the cold shower side. It's drier. So the desert does this. And now I can answer the two questions. Which letters in a major rainforest? Y, O, I, F, or G? So it's not Y, it's not O, it's not I, it is F. F is in a major rainforest. And the one that's in a major desert is O right there. Then the coastal wet climates, they're wherever the wind hits the ocean. So there's one all along here, because the wind, this dark arrow, comes from the ocean and hits the land. And there's another one up here, because that dark arrow is coming from the ocean hitting the land. And then there's another one down here, because the dark arrow is coming this way and hitting the land there. Of the choices that are given, L, Y, X, V, and U, there's L, Y, X, V, and U. Well, U is wet also, but it's not coastal wet. It's not wet because of that. It's wet because of this low pressure. V is coastal wet. Wet because of the rain shadow. So there are three places on here that are wet because of the rain shadow. This side of these mountains and the mountains themselves. The other side's dry. And it's because the wind is going this way. So wherever the wind hits the mountains, it has to rise. Rising air is wet, sinking air is dry. And down here, it's the mountains and this side of the mountains. And then the back side over here, this is the dry part. And then down here, the wind comes from this way, so the mountains are wet, and the side to the right is wet, and then back behind on the left, that's dry. All right, so I'm looking for a wet climate caused by the rain shadow effect. So I'm looking for something that's in this area, or this area, or this area. And my choices are K, M, I, and H. So K. K works. And then dry climate caused by the rain shadow, it's going to either be N or I. So it's N or I. Okay, so it's I. So there you have it. Any questions?